Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for coming to the regularly monthly local emergency planning committee meeting. And I hope everybody's had a chance to grab one of the agendas. We're just going to take it out of order a little bit, if you don't mind. We're going to have Town Planner Brian Curry come up. You may recall the last couple months we've been discussing a little bit about mitigation processes with the town, and the government has some funding out there for us to use mitigation so that we can take some preventative measures and get some funds to help us with that. It's similar to reimbursement by the federal government for after disasters, but this is to be pre-event, so we can take actions to help stop things from happening. So with that, I'll ask Town Planner Brian Curry to come up and discuss it. Thank you.
Everybody has to move forward.
You have to speak loud.
Go to pass those up.
Yep, you want to, whoever wants one. So you may recall some time ago, I think it was back in the spring, I came to LEPC, we talked about how Congress was putting a lot of money into what's known as a multi-hazard mitigation plan. Anyway, we're going to form a very small group of individuals to sort of get the plan going. We're working with the Cape Cod Commission, who is under contract to FEMA and MEMA to do a regional plan. We were going to piggyback with them and let them do all the heavy lifting. Change of plans. So I have over the summer essentially written there's 9 chapters to this plan, from introduction through demographics and climate and history of storms and whatnot. So I've actually drafted the entire plan. I spent some time on it. You'll see it's drafted July the 16th on the copies I've handed out, or Kim has handed out to you today. But I can't do it all myself. FEMA doesn't want me to do it all myself. FEMA wants us to have a very broad-based planning effort going out to the public, going out to interested groups, making sure that those who have an interest in this type of planning effort are enfranchised and involved. So the purpose of me being here today is to hand out what I think are some chapters which are very important to the LEPC and others. And they are chapters 6, 7, and 8. They are draft, by the way. And so I would like you to take a look at those. The full plan I have emailed to Chief Dunn, to Mark. The manager, Heather, has a copy of it. All 9 chapters. I'm trying to get it online so everyone can kind of read it. But once I put these things online, then they tend to become, down from the mountaintop and done. And so I'm trying to make sure everyone understands it's really a very draft type of a plan. But Congress has, the funding round for these FEMA grants is next year, I think next spring. FEMA requires that you have this plan, just like the state requires us to have an open space plan for the open space bond bill. They require us to have certain preservation plans if we're going to go out to the Mass Historical Commission, because it's competitive. We're competing with the rest of the nation, or Region 1, FEMA Region 1, which includes our friends in New Jersey, who are very appropriately funded for some of the things that they need to do down there. So what I have in front of you now is Chapter 6, and if you look at, I've taken the liberty, if you look at this paragraph right here, highlighted here, so I'm coming out to these groups. I want to come back month after month to your monthly meetings, for those who are interested, to help build this plan. So in the narrative, it's past tense, but it's really present tense. I'm coming to you now. And one of the things we really need your help on, and your expertise on in Chapter 6, is that we have any number of what we call critical facilities in the community. And we've broken them into Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 type facilities. Now, Tier 1 facilities are buildings such as the one we're in. Obviously, it's very important. If it gets destroyed in a storm, or somehow we can't use it, that's nothing good. We also have Tier 2 facilities, so certain other municipal and community centers. It might be the schools or the senior center or something along those lines. And we have other really tier 3 type facilities going to our friends at FEMA. And they might be, you know, doctor's offices or some other facility that the community needs, but it's not up there at the level of the Emergency Operations Center. So you'll see it's a matrix. It looks like this. There's about 9 or 10 pages. Disregard that says where it says number and source, especially in Falmouth GIS. I thought. Just kidding. But you'll see I've assigned it a tier. And that's just the town planners throwing it in there. What does he know? That's for sure. With regards to some critical facilities. But at least I've got it started. It is not final. It's up to the community to finally decide whether or not the retirement board, who's on the retirement board that we know here, is a tier 3 type of a facility. It might be that the retirement board feels as though they should be tier 2. And I'm certainly willing to listen to the arguments that I present. But this is the type of information I need groups like this to look at, critically review. Don't worry about it. Well, the town planner says it's a 1. Honestly, I have no idea. I'm figuring the fire station should be 1. But a lot of the tier 2s and tier 3s, you know, I'm taking a wild guess at some of them. So if you can take a moment as a group to and I'm not looking for anything today. This is just a handout today to look at your leisure for those who want to. We'll come back and discuss as a committee at a future date, or email me your thoughts or whatever it might be. It's not something I'm looking for answers today. None of the things I'm presenting, we're looking for answers today. We want to kind of complete this plan in the spring, say around before town meeting, so maybe by March. That way the selectmen have a little hiatus between the close of the warrant and town meeting, because they have to eventually approve this before it goes to FEMA and MEMA, and they have to give it their blessing, and then we're eligible to apply for the federal dinero. So take a look at what I put together in terms of critical facilities. If I've left something out, you might consider it to be an important critical facility, you know, whether it's a fueling station, a depot at Gifford Street. Add it in and let us know. Give it a tier. It's very important. If it goes out of service 24 hours before, during, or after an event, that's bad news. And we'll certainly take it in and put it into some sort of final form. The other chapter is some of our existing disaster mitigation measures, some of the things we're doing today. I've tried to be encyclopedic, but quite frankly, I don't know all the things you're doing today. And by the way, this is a formula-driven plan. FEMA puts in all the chapters and verses and what they require, and I'm sort of the scribe, filling it in, going to the resources, doing the secondary research to get it done. Doesn't mean we can't add to it, make it more expansive, but we can't subtract from it. So I put a bunch of stuff in here I think is about correct, but you might have better understandings of backup power supplies, say 7.5, or a better understanding of the emergency shelters and mutual aid on 7.6. And one of the things I'm really looking for from our friends at the Department of Public Works under 7.8, I actually took the plan from Dartmouth, Massachusetts. They were approved by FEMA and MEMA and got through their Board of Selectmen. They're actually applying for these federal, this last funding round. One of the real things we're looking for structural upgrades, this is more Pete McCarty and the DPW folks, are structural upgrades. You know, it might be that there are culverts over on Mira Vista Ave that are certainly undersized. When we get an event, they clog up, we get flooding, whatever it might be. Those types of things are the things we're looking for to put into the plan. Because once we put in some of these structural upgrades, and it's in the planning document, when we apply finally to FEMA MEMA for the monies to fix these culverts, it's got to be in the plan. if we come into FEMA and ask them for, $50 million, I mean, we're talking substantial amounts of money that Congress has put into this program, billions of dollars for FEMA Region 1. It's worth it's worth the management time and the planning time to really get into this document. Lots of times, a lot of planning documents are just that, they're planning documents, they feel good, but they don't leverage federal dollars. This thing leverages federal dollars. So we can't have something go into them as an application, and they look it up in the planning document as to a priority, and it's not there. You lose, rejected, New Jersey gets the money. So it's really important for us to identify, get it in there. We may not act on it, but at least get it in there, such that it's at least part of the planning document, and we can expand things from there. And anything else you see in there that you may want to add to, that would be great. Most of the stuff I've gotten already in, like our loss statistics from FEMA is up to date as of April of 2014. And finally, Chapter 8, you'll see that on 8.1 goal statements. I took the liberty that during your LAPC meetings, you took a look at this document and came up with some goals, some objectives, part of that planning process. And these goal statements, they're the town planners and someone from the town of Dartmouth and others, subtract, add, it's okay. It's a document. I'm hopeful that people will take a look at and amend and to their own knowledge base. We have to use their little Stapley methods, which you find there in 8.2. But they're not pedantic about it. But under 8.3, one of the things that is very important, I think this group has a lot of good knowledge about, is what do we need? Proposed mitigation measures. We had some structural things in Chapter 7, like funding those things. But there are other things we may want to do. You'll see they'll have structural projects as part of it. But there are other things you may want to do, especially public information and education and public safety. Boy, public fire department, things of that nature. So if we have, and you'll see I have them highlighted, I have prevention and resource protection. There's some action items that maybe we can do at the planning department or conservation in terms of regulatory changes. You can't build on a cliff face anymore like they do in California, because when the earth shakes, the house falls into the ravine, and our firefighters have to go and get your save you. But there might be some things we can do along those lines here too. But under public safety, I've added, establish evacuation procedures. I don't know if you probably have them. I actually found some hurricane evacuation procedures that the then assistant planner did right after Hurricane Bob back in 1993. For those of you who may remember John Hulsey. He actually went to work for Broward County, Florida, Dade County, Florida, after he spent a little time in the Cayman Islands, and did exactly this work. But they're 21 years old now, and it might be that times have changed, and people have gone, and there's new population centers. Those are the types of things we need in this plan under public safety, and you folks are the guys and gals who know a lot more than I do. Again, with property protection, I'll ask Peter McConaughey for a lot of structural projects. It might be that our school department gets into the education and the public communications. But there's certainly enough here for you to think about. If you want, I could try to get the entire plan in for you, because it's hard sometimes to pull it all into context if you're just looking at 3 of the 9 chapters. But they're more in line with what this group does and your expertise. So if you have a core group who wants to get together here, I realize you're a large group. Sometimes the larger the group, the time to get traction is more difficult. Who can come back and fill in some of the blanks. I don't need it next month, but at the end of the year, So you have October, November meetings perhaps, Chief, I don't know. I'm not looking for instantaneous stuff, but while I'm working with the school folks and DPW folks and you, I'd like to be able to keep the traction going and get this plan in some semblance of pretty much done, so I can get it in front of the Board of Selectmen. Doesn't have to go to town meeting, because there may be hiccups along the way. Who knows? I want a little bit of a safety factor. I think the RFP for the federal funds comes out in April or May, and the applications are due in July. Sounds like a long time from now. It's gonna go right. It's not a long time from now. It's gonna go right by. So take a look at it. I appreciate all your thoughts and help, and we'll be in touch. If any questions for me at this point, or through the chair, or whatever.
Brian, I just got a quick question. I was looking through it and I noticed that under the critical infrastructures, there's some tier 3 items that are not public, they're private institutions.
Yes.
But I didn't notice anything on there like, you know, the Verizon switch or cell towers or anything like that.
Yeah.
Should those kinds of things be on there as well? Because it's obviously not just public facility.
Yeah, it should be something that we have more direct control over, or we partner with. So I suppose if we have substations or critical cell towers, that if they go down, we lose our cell, or
Yeah,
our
you
our
lose your
ability to communicate
yeah.
should be highlighted, sure. Right.
So it's not restricted to just
It's,
publicly owned or operated facilities.
yeah, if it's important to us, whether it's owned by us or the federal government or whomever it might be, a utility company, they need to know.
Yeah.
Right. And if that way, if it goes down, we may need something for backup, Dana. Remember Dana, Hawaii Five-0? Dating myself again. We might need some sort of secondary or tertiary backup if we do have an event here that is somewhat catastrophic. Right. Remember, this is a multi-hazard plan. Don't just think of hurricanes and snowstorms. This is they make us look at what's the probability of an earthquake here. Well, we've had them. Yeah, they're around. What's the probability of wildfires? We dug out the B.B. Woods fire break plan from Paul Broder days when he was deputy from the 90s. We have that issue. In fact, we have the burn line, you know, all those maps. Eventually, B.B. Woods is going to burn. Just like Miles Standard State Forest and others, we need to be thinking about mitigation measures for that. So we look at the whole broad spectrum of emergency preparedness, not just natural, but also man-made disasters. And if we're about the Russians landing, we'll let our friends in the Department of Defense worry about that. And others, we need to be aware of. It's more than just after what happens after Hurricane Bob.
Brian, that first chapter, it says critical infrastructure, so we're not just talking about buildings, we're talking about roadways,
Water lines,
somewhere
sewer
that
lines.
something that washes away, like the bike path or this area washes away every time we have a significant.
How are we going to flush the toilets in Woods Hole when the force main goes?
So it's not just building,
It's critical infrastructure is just that. It's our infrastructure that
allows us to stay resilient and keep going.
lets us bounce back. You know, we hate to have to bring in, you know, Johnny's on the spot for everyone who lives on the sewer line. We need to have a backup plan for generators, you know, a backup plan to get the guys with the chainsaws in first, get the trees out of the way, and bring in your utility crew to fix not only power lines, but you might have to fix force mains. And you need to have something in place that says, okay, we can go to Mass Highway for this, or we can go to the wherever for that, and at least patch it and get people 24 hours. Or so
Brian,
before we
you
get
said
the
that you didn't have to go in front of town meeting, just has to go in front of the selectmen, but everything we've had to do with the government seemed to need like a match, or a 25% or a 10%. Do you know, is there any matching funds related to this project?
There's a variety of federal funding sources. Some of them are reimbursements. You front up all the money. We have actually used hazard mitigation monies. We've actually applied for them back in the 90s. We bought some property on Surf Drive after Hurricane Bob. We bought some land. We bought about 2 acres of land because one of the little cabanas got blown across Salt Pond. And whoever around just said, I'm done, no mas. And we actually applied for hazard mitigation monies and was awarded 100%. So it just depends on the grant program you're looking at. There might be matches, there might be an outright grant. They like matches because that's just coming up to the trough. You know, you're actually,
You're
you know,
investing something.
yeah, you're invested in your franchise, and we're willing to partner with you. Typically speaking, they'll pick up the lion's share.
Brian, do you think, I don't know if you were here at the meeting, we had that Waquoit Bay folks came and they
Yeah.
did that resiliency plan.
Right.
I wonder if it's something, if we do something similar to that for this project. It seems very, very
Yeah,
similar.
in fact,
Do a
we
brainstorming session.
Yep. In fact, we've been talking with Tana Marie from Webner.
Mhm.
They're going to be back in December. We've been trying to move that project forward to have that type of resiliency effort in for, and they're looking at a continuation of government. That was the thing that came out of that brainstorming session that we had here back in spring or whatever it was. We're also working with them to actually have another little bit of a workshop, hopefully in December. Stay tuned for that, because we just got some word from FEMA and others that we may have an opportunity to broaden that effort again, and have a planning document, or actually an operational document that says if town hall gets, if you're underwater, or whatever, or it's vacation times and people are dispersed in August, and we get a big storm, you know, how do you keep that continuation?
Continuity.
Right. But hopefully we'll have a little bit more news on our December meeting with Webner and FEMA, and hopefully some folks from New Jersey for some lessons learned.
Great. Thank you.
So that's your homework assignment. I won't grade it, that's for sure. I'll just appreciate all that you can do. And I'll be back with some updates at your next LEPC meeting. You'll be seeing some other chapters, but these are the 3 chapters I thought this group could really, you know, sink their teeth into and get back to us at your convenience. Okay? Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it very much. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm not sure, is this something we could send out to all of them?
Yes, I put a note, yeah, Brian, I'll email that out to the LEPC membership.
The total.
Okay.
That will capture the people that aren't here today, with just a
Okay.
little notation in the email that,
Sure.
you know,
Yep.
any input that they would
And
like
then
to
get back to
forward.
us either email or at the next meeting.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll just leave these here too.
Mhm.
There's some extra copies
Yeah.
on the back. In fact, if it's available, you look, the whole plan's on the chief's shared folder,
Mhm.
but it'll be changing. But that'd be great, thank you.
Okay. Okay. So if anybody, like, please take them home, think about it, go through it. We'll also be sending it out via email. You can get back and I'm not sure if anybody has any suggestions, but I think a good idea would be similar to that, if everybody remembers that project we did with the Waquoit. We had sort of resilience and we listed our infrastructure, and we just listed up this, so maybe we could do a brainstorming session at the next meeting or the meeting after, maybe, give us some time.
Well, I think one of the other things, and this is the problem with some of these plans, I hate to say it, but a lot of work goes into them and they gather dust on a shelf.
Yeah,
And
Brian was mentioning.
I have the hazardous emergency plan that
Which
we
will
work
address a lot
on,
of this.
as well as the CEMP, the Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan. And so a lot of them not only overlap but dovetail. We have lists of what we, in those different plans, see as critical infrastructure, critical facilities, that we can pull from there and look and say, are they already in this plan, or have we missed something from either of those 2 plans that we need to include on this list as well? So I can bring those for next month.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, on the next part, I'd like to introduce, we have a guest speaker today. It's Tara McEnroe, is that right?
Yes.
McEnroe, like the tennis player.
It's
McEnroe?
McEnroe
Great.
Kent, that's fine.
McEnroe Kent. She's from the Massachusetts Maritime Academy. And she's the simulation specialist and the emergency preparedness coordinator for environmental protection, safety, and emergency management. That's
Quite a
all one
mouthful.
title?
It is,
That is.
yeah.
Wow. But it is, I think everybody in the room is familiar, the Mass Maritime also has an emergency management program. But I think your simulations also include that, but also with this the shipboard operations of the?
We
with the
do have
cadets?
simulations for the ship. We have a couple different types of simulators at the academy, which we're very proud of. My primary focus is with the EM simulator, and I'll talk about that a bit, but yeah, we're.
EM is?
Oh, emergency management, I'm sorry.
Great.
Yep, sure.
All right, well, I'll let you go. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you very much. Thank you, Chief. Well, good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me, Kim, I appreciate it. I hope this will be for some benefit, just to give you just a quick little snapshot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go walk through some EM software programs we have at the Academy. And what I'd like you to do, if you want to make this offer from the Academy, is that if you're interested in the software program, we can train you for a couple hours on that at no charge. But if you want to have a kind of a package of a few different programs, that's something we could try to work out as well. So I just want to throw that out, so when you're looking at this, when I'm walking through this PowerPoint, you can kind of take that in. All right? So this is going on here. All right, well, the Chief did a wonderful introduction, so I can actually probably skip over a slide or two. Can you hear me in the back, by the way? Okay, fine. I have a very soft voice. I'm used to dealing with computers, not people so much. Again, I'm from Massachusetts Maritime Academy, and specifically with the Environmental Protection, Safety, and Emergency Management Department. We have an undergraduate major in emergency management and a graduate degree as well. As the Chief mentioned, I'm a simulation specialist, primarily for our EPSCM department. I'm also the emergency preparedness coordinator for the Academy, and I do also teach geographic information systems at the Academy. I just pointed this at you, sorry about that. This is just some of the software programs I'm going to talk about briefly today. I'm not going to go into too deep on each one. But I want to give you kind of an overview, because again, if you're really interested in knowing how to operate these programs, we can help you out. And purposely, most of these are at no cost. All right, they're done by the federal government. Most of them, so that's something I always try to keep in mind with towns. You have a budget that's very tight, so this is something that is actually feasible for you folks. We'll just walk through these, each one as I mentioned. The first one I'm going to talk about is Marplot. By the way, are any of you familiar with any of these programs at all? Okay, yeah, I would think that most of you probably have some bearing with them. All right. ArcGIS, right?
Our GIS coordinator here.
Is there a GIS coordinator here? Who's that?
Oh, sure.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, great. Okay, you'll love this. She'll be right up here. I just want to mention something. GIS, we have 10.0 and 10.2 at the Academy. The reason is we keep 10.0 because there's another program called HASIS that works with ArcGIS, but it only works with 10.0 version. Are you familiar with HASIS? Great program, right? Fantastic.
Well, I've looked at it, we don't really use it.
Oh, well, then come on down. It's a great, we'll talk about it a little bit here, but we should probably talk later. So anyways, we'll just walk through these a little bit. The first one that I'm just going to mention is Marplot. Now Marplot, there's a Marplot, let me go back here. Marplot, Cameo, and Aloha are 3 different software programs that can work standalone or also together. So Marplot's a mapping application for response, planning, and local operations tasks. I love the federal government. They make up these great acronyms. Basically, Marplot is an all-purpose map. It's like a canvas for the other software programs. So, it's just as a standalone map, roads, infrastructure, of course, populations, things of that nature. It does work with the other 2 programs I mentioned, Aloha and Cameo, which we'll talk about in just a minute. And all these 3 programs, Aloha, Cameo, and Marplot, were developed jointly with NOAA and the EPA. And that's a little picture of the interface. So you can use Marplot all by itself as a map, if you'd like. And you can see there's a little add-ons if you want to integrate those 2 software programs, Aloha and Cameo. And you can have this map depicted as a map, just base map, satellite, topographical map. The next software program is called Cameo, Computer Aided Management for Emergency Operations. This houses about 6,000 different chemicals. The Tier 2 reporting that all the towns do feeds into Cameo. So I'm sure you're probably familiar with Cameo. Again, as a standalone, it's really a database and does give you some additional information with it, but it works very nicely with Marplot. What was that? It's me?
It's the radio.
Oh, I'm so sorry, okay. Now with Cameo, it's known as a database for chemicals, but of course it has all the facilities for that Tier 2 reporting. And here's a little, just the interface picture. The benefit of Cameo is that, again, not just the database itself, but when you do the mapping with Marplot, you can actually create some good routes for travel with it as well. This is just a little snapshot of the chemical database information tag right there, and it has a response information sheets in the second tab behind it. So it has the chemical ID numbers and just some response information data. I'm not going to go too much into this because I know most of you are familiar with it, and we have a lot to see. But Cameo is a great resource for chemical information. Aloha is the area location of hazardous atmospheres. Now this is the modeling program that just basically shows how those chemicals are expressed if they're released. So you have Marplot, which is a canvas, you've got Cameo, which is a database, and Aloha is actually going to depict how a toxic gas, for instance, is going to be released. What's the threat zones? What's the levels of concern? And again,
We actually did a table talk about,
what's that?
we did a table talk 7 or 8 years ago with ammonia spill.
Oh, yes, right, yeah, there you go,
We
yeah.
used all this stuff.
Perfect. Let me stand over this way. So here's just this is just a depiction of all three together. So using Marplot as a canvas of the map, Cameo for the database of this chemical being expressed, and Aloha expressing the chemical plume. So you can see there's little threat zones right there. And I did it right by the Bourne Bridge. Yeah.
Quick question,
Sure.
the Cameo database for the tier twos, is that real time? Is it as reported, so you actually get locations
You know,
of
that-
those tier twos?
I'll tell you, that's a good question. Here's how it works. What we have right now, when you report Tier 2, there is a lag between when the Cameo software is updated. Okay, there is a lag. Exactly the lag, you know.
But it's right down to the location and it's
Oh, absolutely. Well,
it's geolocation
well,
based on the tier 2?
Yes, let me qualify. Here's how it was. It used to be with decimal degrees. You'd have to put in the coordinate system. Then they switched over to having only the roads, and then they had like roads and or coordinate systems. The problem is with the roads, people weren't filling in the information, so there's a real problem with that. And I don't know how that's something beyond, you know, what we can do, but I'd love to see them personally get back to the coordinate system. Roads, sometimes you people misspelling, sometimes it's not complete. I think coordinates is great, so you can take a GPS, boom, get right out there, and it's accurate. There's no issue. So, you know the old saying, data in, you know, data out, good data in, good data out, bad data in, bad data out. That's the one, you know, kind of warning you have to be aware of with any type of software. Cameo, the addresses, it's only as good as the person who puts in that form, that data. But it's a good question. So here's you know, all those three software programs together. Again, you can use them standalone or together. It's this type of software used together is really good if you're looking for planning and what if scenarios. If you need to get some real critical information for some facilities that something might be involved with. I will say, for those of you who do work, you know, with emergency response, to try to grab something quickly like that, it's probably not as likely going to use something as a response, like right away, because you're going to be boots on the ground, you're going to be out there taking care of it. This is probably better off for planning, you know, for what to do in the event of, because it does take some time to get all the information together. ArcGIS, or where's our friend there? There you are. Just to let you know, there's a lot of geographic information software systems out there. There's plenty of them. Some are good, some not so good. What we prefer is an Esri-based product known as ArcGIS. That's what the town of Falmouth seems to be using as well. Do you use any other software, any other GIS programs besides Esri products? That you know?
No, No, except for individual applications, but that all feeds in.
They marry up
Yeah.
with the Esri product. Yeah, there's some others out there, and they're fine, but really, you know, Esri products, ArcGIS is really kind of like the elephant in the room. Like, that's the standard. Great for spatial analysis, data manipulation. It's really the way to go. The way to go. And also, other programs really are married up to it, like HASIS, things of that nature, that type of software. I just want to show this a minute. I did an exercise with Barnstable County Regional Planning Committee a few years ago. Well, I do it all the time, but this one specifically was a few years ago, and they wanted me to kind of create a map of an ammonia plume. But over time, you know, so they gave me, you know, the amount of the spill, weather conditions, things of that nature, so I could kind of create the plume. So what I did was I took Aloha, took that information from Cameo, had Aloha express it, and put it into ArcGIS, and it looks like KML, looks like a Google map, for instance, right? The Google Earth map, just to express it. So, but I did it over time as a release. So here's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and 60 minutes. So it was very useful for their exercise. And I'm offering stuff like that to you as well for your exercise if you want. I'm more than happy to help you folks out. I live in Falmouth, so I have a personal interest. But the point is there is a lot of different of these software programs that do work together, and you can really play around with them. They're really useful. So again, take a look at this and see what you folks might be interested in. This is interesting. The MassGIS, which is Massachusetts Geographic Information System office, which does a tremendous job, by the way. As a state, our GIS office is amazing, and we're very fortunate to have it. They have created an online viewer for mapping called Oliver. And it's GIS mapping, but it's a browser-based. So you can, from your office, if your office can't afford ArcGIS software because it is expensive, you can use Oliver, and they have quite a few of similar components that you can use, and it's browser-based, so you don't need the software. You have to purchase software. It's very user-friendly, and they have some great data. It's all Massachusetts data, infrastructure data, you know, hurricane data, some really good information that you can use. Oh, they also have some specialized or theme-focused viewers. So if you're interested, let's say, in ocean resources, you might want to look at Morris, economic development. You might want to look at the EOHED. I can't even pronounce that. I just spelled that one out. But have any of you used Oliver? Have any of you used it? Yeah. What do you think of that?
It's an incredible tool here in Massachusetts. Like Tara was saying, you could put in roadways, you could put in just hospitals, they'll populate.
Right.
You could put in power stations, anything that you can think of, colleges. It lets you put anything on the map and it will populate it, so you can see it. It's really a wonderful tool.
And it works very smoothly, and again, you don't need software for it. And this, it's no cost.
So how do you gain access?
You
Is this
just-
through MEMA, or is this on
all
the
you
state
do,
website?
you can just Google MassGIS, just Google it.
Okay.
Click on the MassGIS website, it'll say, oh, you can see look at Oliver, click it on, it'll bring you right to it. And then something like this will pop up. That'll be the interface. It's very easy. I just
Very
did this.
easy.
I did this like in 1 minute, really, literally, like before coming here. Let me just throw this up. I just thought, just give an example, because I think it'd be very useful. When it pops up, very easy to read icons. You can do areas. There's an eraser, magnifier, you know, usual. They have fantastic data layers. Fantastic. All Massachusetts, some good stuff here. I just threw on a couple fire stations, police stations, and a hurricane surge zone. And you can even adjust how opaque the layers are. So here I put a hurricane surge zone, but it covered up the fire station down here. So I just put about 50% so you could see through it. And boy, we'd be in trouble. We'd be in trouble. But this is a neat software to have. It's very easy. Create nice maps quickly. You want to do a presentation. You want to just do some handouts to people. That's easy, quick, and of course very accurate.
Tara, The data layers, you can plug them in, and if you don't like it, just click it off.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really easy
Yep.
to use.
It really is. It's very useful. There's tax parcels, all sorts of information, so very useful. Even just to take a look at it, sometime. Just browse through. You might come across some data that you realize, you know what, I can really use that. All right, now this, actually, I'll tell you what, this software, I wish I had more slides for, because it really could put the finger on for what that gentleman was talking about regarding this grant. Has this software. It's an all-hazard software. It works with ArcGIS. The only ArcGIS it works with right now is 10.1. There will be a new release for it soon, probably about 3 months, hopefully, for the latest ArcGIS 10.2. What's fantastic about this is that it deals with natural disasters, just hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, and it can give you a potential loss cost estimate of infrastructure. Now, not only that, but you can play around with this, and you can do what if. So you can say, well, what if we had today a hurricane like Edna? And what if we were building new buildings, but we used, nails, like 2-inch nails instead of 3/4-inch nails? It can give you the difference of how much money you could actually save by investing maybe a little bit stronger materials for that building than otherwise. So you can actually get a cost estimate on some of that, just forecasting some of those costs for mitigation. So it's a very interesting type of software. So you can actually look at it and say, okay, we can run, let's say we're going to run a hurricane from Edna, today's population. We will look at how things are today, like schools, hospitals, fire stations, everything it is today, and it will tell us how many days out of use could be knocked out from that storm of Edna. When would they be back online? What would be how many people would be displaced? How many shelters would be lost? Critical infrastructure would be affected. So it's a very comprehensive software program. This was developed by MEMA, FEMA, with the National Institute of Building Sciences. And this is just a little snapshot. I wish if I'd been aware, I would have put a few more slides in. But this is actually just an example of, here's a hurricane I had put through. And the hurricanes that you put in, you can do historical hurricanes, or you can actually build the parameters for hurricanes. You can say the wind speed, all that type of information. And then you can build it and set it to go. And then you can put in, what infrastructure you want on here to be affected. In this case, I just put schools on, and the lost number of days for each school. And you can see out in Chatham with this hurricane, lost the most days. You can see, but it's a very useful software. If you want to create reports, it will generate reports for you. It'll give you cost estimates again. So it takes out some of that work. You just run it through, and it's it's developed by FEMA, so it's the federal government. If they're looking, if that's a federal grant, that's their numbers. Those are their
Speaking the
numbers.
same language.
Yeah.
So the infrastructure for Falmouth would already be in there?
It
The
is.
data is already
That's
existing?
what I'm saying. All the data's in there. Now here's the thing. With HASIS, there are updates. So again, remember, there's always that lag between what it is today and when the last update was. Right? We always have that. But that being said, it does give you, sometimes someone wants to come down, take a look at that. If you're doing this grant, this would be the one you want to put your finger on. It's actually really amazing. It will give you damage, 2-story buildings made of concrete versus 4-story buildings of wood. And it drills right down again to the size of the nail. That's amazing. That's amazing. So that's something you might want to think about. And again, all the Falmouth infrastructure is in there. So again, if you're looking, that's something you want to see.
And that's
They did the
through
work.
FEMA, so that's not something you have to pay for that software.
This is free.
You do.
Just kidding.
This is free. You can Google any of these if you want. I'll give you the copy of the list of names.
Yeah.
Google this. Just Google HASIS. Take a look at it. It's great stuff. Okay. The next one. This is EpiInfo. This is for epidemiology, developed by the Center of Disease Control. Just statistical software. you know, for different breaks out, just for mapping out breakouts of different diseases, developed again by the CDC. What you have to do though is you have to feed in information, so there's data entry involved, so you have to kind of give it some information so it can work with it. It's not really predictive, like HAZIS, for instance, you can do predictive as well as historical. I'm sort of babbling here, sort of. HAZIS, you can do historical as well as predictive. You can feed in information. At info, you have to just feed the information in. You have to give it something to work with. Because of that, the data collection, data entry, it works again with ArcGIS. That's the type of mapping software it works with. Translated in more than 13 languages. It's over 1 million are estimated to be used, and that was actually quite a while ago when we got that estimate. So it's a great type of software to use. This is just a little snapshot of some screenshots. You make the forms up, put a little data entry, digital analysis, and it'll generate the little maps out. This one I just kind of made up. Remind me of Dr. Snow. Are you familiar with Dr. Snow? He was actually one of the first people to actually map out a breakout. It was in London, 1800s, and it was an outbreak that occurred regarding cholera and some water pumps. There was one water pump that was really affected. He mapped out the diseases. So I just threw that one. But that's good for public health. Anybody here in public health? Are you familiar with that? That's a nice software program. Do you use that? Instant Commander, anybody familiar with that software program? You're familiar? How are you familiar with that?
Me, I've heard of it before.
Oh, okay,
but
you used it? Okay.
I've not used it, no.
Okay.
We had it here.
We did,
Yeah.
yeah.
What?
I sent away for them and a couple people took them home and
Yeah.
created scenarios.
That's what happens.
Like the
That's
greatest
exactly what
video
happens.
game, just play with it.
Yeah,
In
you can
fact, I think
send
a
the
few
fire
of us
trucks
still
and the
have
police
them.
officers
Yeah.
the way you want.
Yeah.
I still have one.
We need those back. No,
Yes.
No, I still
You know,
have it.
you know what? It's so funny. That happens to me. I know a whole bunch, and they just like walk off.
They
It's so
do,
true.
because it's
They
the
do.
greatest video game.
That's what they think of it as a
The
video
only
game.
thing that happened to me, honestly, when I got home with it, at the time, the generic version of my machine, it was behind me. So every time I tried to make updates or response,
Yeah.
it was too slow.
Oh.
So it drove me crazy.
Well, Instant Commander, for those who don't know, it was developed by the Department of Justice, 2008, specifically to train first responders with NIMS and ICS, which I know you've heard over and over again. It is a video game, basically. Different scenarios set up in it. Can do school shootings, chemical spills, aftermath of a storm. What's also neat about it, though, is that you can play it all by yourself, or you could have a group of people playing. So each one's on a computer, and you can have each computer set it up to talk to each other. So you can have assigned different roles, EMS, Public Works, whoever you want at that table for a scenario. What's also neat is that actually it generates a grade for you. Were you graded? Anybody here think got graded? It's tough. You don't pass, you have to get above an 80. So that's we do have that. It's actually very popular with our students, as you can imagine. Yeah. And that's just a little snapshot. This, of course, this front screen isn't showing when you're actually using this. It just pops up in the beginning. But just like ICS, it's allotment, for each role. And you run the scenario. You got a little chat screen down here. So you have fun and actually learn something. And that's free as well. Anybody know EMST, Emergency Management Staff Trainer? This is a fantastic software also. All of these, I have to tell you, these are the ones I love the most. That's why I'm showing you them, all right? They're user-friendly, they function well, and they teach you something. EMST, Emergency Management Staff Trainer, was developed by the National Guard. It's a web-based, so as long as you have a computer with internet access, you don't have to download anything, you don't have to buy anything. You can have one user or many, so again, you can run a scenario, let's say a fire, and you can have different roles playing at this bunch of computers. You can set it to talk to each other. They show you how to do that, it's not hard. Or just have one person do it, and it follows the Department of Homeland Security HC methodology for exercises. It also has different levels of experience, which is I think very useful. You can have a novice, and you can have a seasoned pro. And that's just a little snapshot. So you can just Google that, EMST. You do have to get a password. They have to, they have to make sure who's ever using it. So it's not hard though. You send who you are, and they verify it. Then you can log in. And once you log in, that's just the opening screen. It gives you tutorials. It'll walk you through. You don't need anybody to teach you this. I don't need to teach you this. Nobody's to teach you this. If you look through tutorials and tools, you can learn it yourself. You can have your group, wherever you are, run through it, and you can run your own little exercises with just your own department.
So what types of training are involved?
I will share. With this one, what type of training?
Yeah.
Well, what it does, I'll show you next time. What it does is you can run an exercise. So if you want to know, if you want to run, let's say, in this one with a dirty bomb, if you want to train some of your people, what would you do in the event of? And you're talking about the decision makers, not so much the boots on the ground, but the ones who make decisions. It'll help you learn like how to make those decisions, because when you run through it, it gives you tips, it helps you along the way, and then grades you after, and it gives you some information maybe you should be doing. Here's some things to consider. So it's a nice little learning tool. It has different levels, as I mentioned. And this one I just brought up. You can see, I don't know if you can see, but it gives you the exercise organization. So in this case, I put the state EOC. The scenario, I put a dirty bomb. The role, I chose state emergency manager, ambitious. Skill level novice, and state. Now, when you put the state in, you have to remember this is from National Guard, so they're drawing in some really good database. This is not like they're just going to make up this stuff. This is all good information. And then you run it. You can also customize the exercise if you want to, and it gives you an idea of duration of play. So if an individual is doing it, it's only 2 hours. If a team, it's about 6. So you can kind of get an idea, how long that will take. And as it runs through, let's say if you're playing alone and you just want to get your skills up, whatever role you are, what you do in your, with your position. What's interesting is that it will feed you information. So let's say you are an EMS lead for your town. It will give you, it will feed you information on that scenario. So you're going to receive information via videos. It'll have videos playing. It'll have phone calls. Actually, it'll be a ringing. You answer. You answer. So-called technically, we type, answer the phone. It'll give you faxes coming in. People literally knocking on the door. Knock, 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 and somebody's saying, "Hey, Joe, what about So, and then as it gets busier, it can increase. You get more and more going on, and the stress level kicks up. So yeah, exactly. That's right. So it's a very it's a well thought out software. It's a well thought out software. It gives you a lot of curveballs, but it always does it at the right level. So if you're a novice, it's not going to obviously make things way over your head, but it's going to make you reach. It's going to make you reach. Wiser. How many people know Wiser? This is one of my favorite software programs. You know Wiser? Do you have it on your phone?
Yeah, but downstairs in dispatch.
Yeah, where?
Yeah, downstairs for a while in dispatch.
Oh, okay. Wiser is called, obviously, Wireless Information System for Emergency Responders. Now, it says that, but I'm going to tell you, it's actually expanded the people who can use this. It used to be just for first responders and EMS, and then when it went first responders, EMS, and hazmat, then went for first responders, EMS, hazmat, hospital preparedness coordinators. So it's really building up because people see it and they realize it's a very useful tool. Again, it's no cost. You can download it on your computer, you can download it on your phone, or you can just use it browser-based. Just go on the internet. If you want to find it, just Google Wiser, but just make sure it's it has like the software. You'll see the description. There's other Wisers out there, but for instance, they are actually some login for colleges. So just make sure you're in the right Wiser. It's a very powerful program. It has a tremendous amount of information on chemicals, radiological isotopes, biological agents. It gives you information on the physical characteristics, identification numbers, protective gear. It's actually, if you think about it, the best way to describe it is it's almost like a funnel. You have all these different resources, that, support it, and it funnels it into this one portal. So you have the information from the ERG guide, from the U.S. Coast Guard information, from the EPA, all these federal agencies, and it will just fit into this one software program. So it's really amazing. And it's also maintained by the Library of Medicine. So things are constantly updated, and it's very good information. Again, good data in, good data out, right? So this is a little snapshot of an interface. This is, when you open it up, you want to select who you are. So, if you're a hospital preparedness planner, coordinator, you might want to set it for that as opposed to a hazmat specialist. The reason is this. The databases in there are the same, but the reason you might use them would be different. So it's going to tailor the way it's displayed to you based on that role. And what you can do is you can search through the biological agents, radiological isotopes, and the chemicals different ways. If you know what you're dealing with, you can click on known substance. If you don't, it'll help you identify it. So how do you do that? Well, if you, let's say, you're in a situation where you only have to say symptoms or properties of something, you've got a gas that's being leaked, you know how it smells, the color of it, you know how it's affecting people. You can type that right on your phone, and it'll give you, out of its database, sift right down and give you an idea of what it is and what you should be wearing, what you should be doing, protective distance, all that information. And it also has some other tools, which we'll just mention a bit in a minute. So, anyways, by the way, don't laugh at this old picture. I know that's the old PDA picture of this, but pretend it's a phone. Pretend your iPhone. Just pretend. When I show this, the kids always laugh. Like, they don't even know what a PDA is. So, again, now this database has 450, actually a little more now, a little more than 450 hazardous substances, chemicals, radiological isotopes, biological agents, tools to identify unknown chemicals I mentioned, and also has some extra materials, like triage tools, the ERG guides, weapons of mass destruction guide. And again, it can all go right on your phone. You can download it on your phone or your PC or browser-based. And these are all the sources and more. So they're drawing from all these federal agencies, CDC, EPA, MOUSC, for those who are old enough to know. But they put it right into the palm of your hand. Remember the old days? Books? All those books? Right? Now you can do a quick, yeah, see, someone's like, yeah, I remember that. Now you can have it on the go in your pocket. That's especially if there's something you're not used to dealing with, something a little bit different. That's great to have on hand. Whoops. So, anyways, I did want to mention that. That's again, if you just want to Google it on your own, go take a look at it. I showed. Anybody know Steve Costello? Okay. I showed him this. He was thrilled. I taught him how to use this. He thought it was amazing. And so I do try to get the word out on some of these great software programs. They're very useful. Anybody familiar with Prevastar? Anyone familiar with RMS? Resource Management System? Okay. The reason I mentioned that is I know that MEMA was, they use WebEOC, and then they were also kind of pushing a little bit of RMS, Resource Management System for resources. We actually have the whole software program. There are different, Prevastar has different modules. RMS is one of them. It's a very comprehensive software program, and it's for emergency preparedness and response. It maintains a whole life cycle of an event, preparedness, response, respond, mitigation, everything. It's web-based, very easy to use. This does cost money though, but if you go on the MEMA website and you look on the right-hand side on the opening page, and you'll see WebEOC, and you'll see beneath the RMS. RMS is part of Prevastar. And so we can show you how to use that if you need. And these are just some of the modules. So the one that, again, has GIS component. The one that MEMA has is this one, Resource Inventory. But it's all, they call it RMS, Resource Management. And just basically just what it sounds like, managing resources. It's really pretty complex, so I'm just going to touch on it a bit. Because I know I don't want to take up a lot of your time, but it has it's very very inclusive. Has the users, agencies, resource list. The typing is based on FEMA typing, and of course command structure. And it has all these different components for planning, response, resource management. You can do an exercise with it, or if you just want to use GI as a component, you can also do predictive models, the what ifs, right? The what ifs, those things that keep you up at night. I'm going to mention Google Earth. It's free. Everyone knows about it. But what I bet you didn't know was that you can do elevations, you can do floods, you can even download data later from GPS. So if you have some points you want to take, know where all the fire hydrants are in town, you can do that, and it's free. So I always like to mention that people always think, Google Earth is like, oh, it's a picture.
Mhm.
You can do a lot more than that. Do you know who made Google Earth? Well, it was before it was
14-year-old?
Key. What was that?
A 14-year-old?
Yeah, I know. Boy, yeah, that's a good point. Actually, Keyhole invented it, but you know who funded Keyhole?
CIA.
Who?
CIA?
Yeah, actually, it was the geospatial intelligence, right? Yep, absolutely. Who else, right? Who else? All that information, and now we use it, just to play with, right? So here's some things you can do with it. You can download some points. You can map out it if you want. You can find elevations, and there's even a way that you can put on a little flood if you want. Flood zone, quickly, easily, snap a little shot. But you didn't know you could do that, did you? No. I'm going to mention this briefly. We have an EM simulator at the school, but really this one is dying, it's dead. And we're getting a new one. I love the old one. It was 10 years old. In technology terms, it's like dog years, it's like 70-something. So it was great to have, and we were lucky to use it. We're fortunate to have it. But we're excited, we're moving on to the next stage. And when that happens, I'd love you folks to come down and take a look. Great for practicing, it's cost effective. You can do the time delays, know your resources, and you can have a fire going on and assign people and figure out how to take care of what you need to take care of. But anyway, so I've taken up more than enough of your time, I'm sorry for the babble of it going, but I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that it's something for you to think about it. I'd like you, if you would, consider MMA as a resource. I've always reached out. I was director of a grant, our emergency preparedness grant, a couple of years ago, and one thing I had was about 2009. I threw out an offer to 15 surrounding communities for MMA to train people on different software, and even gave every town their own data, resource data, all their information that was important to them. Some of their infrastructure, some of their concerns, and we built it. And of the 15, 12 came, and we had 3 days, and even today, it seemed that it was useful. It was useful to them. So, I really want you to think about that, and I hope to take advantage of it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Well, the next part was the new emergency preparedness resources, which I'm going to skip right over. Tara covered some of it. Some of them will look like crayons. But I'd like to get right into the subcommittee reports and the communications committee.
Sure, real quick, I think what we'd like to cover is Boyd and your visit, I guess, with the situation involving the PIA and the liaison.
Yes.
So we'll let Boyd go ahead and present that.
You want me to go ahead? We did meet with the town manager. I know we've been speaking with the communications committee for a few months now, and we were trying to get some feedback from the town manager and the assistant town manager's office. And we actually had a meeting very recently with Monday. So and they are on board with us. So we're going to assign, if your committee is okay with it, I think we're going to assign, we spoke about it a little bit, Inspector DeMello from the fire department as the liaison, communication liaison, or assistant to the PIO, whatever title you'd like to give to that position. But he'll be the point of contact during the event, during an emergency event, to the town leadership. So the information going out will still be created and dictated by the town manager, the assistant town manager, or whoever's in charge of the town or the emergency at the time. But by use of our committee with all the resources and all the things that you guys have come up with, that through Firefighter DeMello, who's usually around during these events anyhow, we'll get the word out to all the venues where we want to get it out to. Whether it's the radio stations, the TV stations, the Facebook page now, the Twitter account, or any of the other avenues we come up with to get the message out. But it will be approved by the town, and I think that was the town's concern. They didn't want just us as a committee or as a thing just putting out willy-nilly information, for better terminology. They want to make sure it's approved, and we assured them that it'll be approved by them. Everything will be checked off. But some of the things we put out, we'd like to put out just information. I think Boyd mentioned if you call the old town hall number, you still get information regarding Hurricane Sandy or something after hours. Something like that. So we want to ensure that doesn't happen. We want to make sure that something like that. So by us having a little handle on it, and some people taking care of that business, we won't. We'll also be able to get information out, say, every 4 hours, every 2 hours, every 6 hours, whatever we decide we need to get the information out. And that way people will know at least that information's going out. It may be, hey, same information as it was 6 hours ago, but at least they know it. So by having, I think, having the committee overseeing that, and with one person talking to the town people that are doing it, and we even mentioned we didn't want to step on any toes, town hall, we didn't want to step on any toes with the GIS, not the GIS people, the computer people, because they've been taking care of some of the web page. And I'd be willing to bet, I mean, Tom's not here, or anybody from IT, they'd probably love to pass that off to us. Or we'll work in conjunction with them. So I think it was a good meeting, and they're on board, and we're on board, so I think it was a good meeting. Did I miss anything, Boyd?
No, but going forward today, Chief, committee met prior to this meeting. Now that we have that liaison position, whatever we're gonna call it, cleared up, we're looking at going forward, establishing where the information needs to go.
Yeah.
And how it's going, those avenues and how to disperse it. But the other thing we're looking at is where we're gathering information from. Because there's a lot of information out there that comes from different sources, and we need to we want to get a handle on going in, coming
I think the information would have to be verified,
Right.
whatever it is.
Well, the big thing is what we're working on, and I'm gonna use Kim's take on it. It's called rumor control, because there's a lot of it out there, And one of the things that we're finding now is with the advent of the Facebook and the Twitter page, we're doing a little research in that. There's ways you can start tracking stuff on Twitter and on Facebook using some free software that's out there that we can start finding out what people are talking about. And if there's the rumors out there or there's misinformation out there, we can respond to it quicker from the town's point of view to get
Or check
the
it out
correct.
to see if it's accurate.
Or it could be accurate information that we don't know about. So there's two ways to use that information out there, but there's software available to us in different avenues that we're gonna start researching that.
Great.
And Phil has another item on the FM, the LPFM stuff that we looked at.
What?
The low-power radio station for the town that we were talking about before.
Yes.
We have some estimates that have come in, and I think they've been forwarded to you at this point in time on the equipment and prices. So we at least have that at the point now where we're ready to recommend that. And then the next step would be obviously the funding sources and then the implementation, so.
I think some of the things we're talking about are gonna cost money. I think some of this, maybe this mitigation planning that the planner was talking about could be a good avenue for that. I did have a chance too, Phil, to check with the mechanics and our people. We talked about an alerting station, bringing back the whistles at the fire stations. That's probably not a practical solution at this point. So I was gonna give some feedback to the committee saying that maybe we should look into, there are numerous types of commercial applications of mass notification out there. So that maybe we can start looking into it. I mean, we go to some of these seminars, there's people there that, I never really paid attention to some of it, some of the vendors selling, but that's definitely one of the items that they push.
See the information, lovely.
Is there anything else from that, their committee? No? Appreciate the input. How about, Sir, Dan, or?
Yeah, Chief, I think just two things probably on my timing. One is, at the shelter, we had both a Red Cross review of the current plan that's out there. And we fought through that and make sure that that's kind of outdated. There's probably some things going on in the back plane that make a few minor changes to that. But the second thing is that we also had a group, a smaller group, get involved in opening the shelter up and looking at the equipment and setting up the front end and looking at the floor planning and some of the
Is that since our
SOPs.
last meeting?
Since our last meeting, yeah.
Thank you.
And with that information, which is ongoing now, we're actually took some pictures and we're developing, with Kim's help and the DPW and the engineering department, some SOPs that allow us to develop a package that not only has the layouts, but anybody can
Sort
set
of
it
a
up.
how-to book? How to
Yeah,
set
a
up a
how-to
shelter?
SOP for first responders, whoever incident command is, and, you know, how you set them up and how you set up registration and how you do all that kind of thing.
I think that would be you.
And then it will include, where Peter's group comes in, even the cot layouts and the front end and entry layouts and the registration layouts, with both the physical function of taking pictures of the equipment we have. So if you can't remember, you don't know what the drawing looks like, you can just look at the picture and say, make it look like this, and we'll take it from there. So that's kind of ongoing, and other than that, we're looking forward to next Saturday, not this Saturday, Saturday after, the 4th.
October 4th.
October 4th.
Good closing
Go ahead.
statement.
What a good segue, wasn't it? But I want to touch base with Kim myself, not to put you on the spot. But I know Kim and I and you have been talking, we've been working with the Cadmus people, if that's who it may be, is on the resilience. And I know we passed a lot of stuff off to you. That's a program we were looking into. Originally, we thought it was a program for us to get either alternative energy or help with some grant funding to beef up our shelter needs. And I'm not sure if that's the case or what it is or not. But I'm trying to get that out, and I know we're, through myself, because they were asking us a lot of technical questions about the high school and the schools, electrical systems and everything. I'm just, have they reached back out to you?
Yeah, no, I've been sending a lot of stuff back.
Yeah.
And, but it seems like it's really a battery system they're trying to install at the high school.
Right.
You know, to which extent it's going to feed, need. We didn't see.
So I was hoping, I thought it was gonna be, they asked us, we got it for a shelter, but we would love to have power. I mean, Dan's mentioned it would be nice to have power that you could switch around, like put the power to the core areas or the areas that we need. Or have enough power to run, what I was keen was I'd love to have enough power to run the elevator, because that's an issue for us. And I'm not sure with this, if that grant's where we're going, if I got off on the wrong foot. I'm not sure.
I think it was presented in a different light and has evolved into something different from the original presentation, yes.
But if you need let us know if we can do anything more. If they need a brief on what the shelter does, because that's what we were really keen on, that it was gonna help us with the shelter. So now back to Dan's segue about next Saturday. I would like to remind everybody that we have our second annual emergency preparedness fair coming up. And that's to go, there's a reason for that. It's not just because we picked this month. September is emergency preparedness month. We put it into October because we were trying to make emergency preparedness tie into with Fire Prevention Week, so we kind of jumped in the middle there. But it's next Saturday. We can use all the help, any volunteer help that we can get would be great. But just so everybody knows, out there in the public, that it's Saturday, this Saturday, October 4th, at the Gus Caney Rec Center. And we expect to have a lot of information there, a lot of learning about emergency preparedness. There's going to be vehicles from the Coast Guard. There'll be like a touch-a-truck component for the kids to keep kids excited. There's going to be a lot of free food, a lot of fun, and hopefully a lot of learning on people on how to prepare themselves to help take care of themselves during an emergency event. Kim,
That's
you're
awesome.
the key.
Very exciting.
You're the key
Yep,
person here.
we've grown, we've doubled in size with regard to participants, information specialists. is what I'm supposed to be calling them, I guess.
Subject matter.
Subject matter experts. Right. They're not vendors, they're not
vendors, they're not
participants
sellers. Oh.
Yeah. So we're hoping, in addition to growing what we have to offer the community, that a larger community representation will be there as well.
They can try and sell something
Last
as
year was
long as they're
amazing.
teaching something, you know.
That's right, that's right. Presentations are all scheduled, it's gonna be awesome. But we're preaching to the choir because as I look around, all but Marcel have tables and presentations, so.
Marcel
so
probably
we're-
buying the tables. He
That's
doesn't
right,
know.
that's right. But Marcel is gonna come and check it out. So that's great. Can't wait.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good event. It was a good event last year, and this year Tim's like double the amount of work and effort into it. And the fire prevention guys have put in their efforts for the fire prevention part of it, so we're gonna have a good thing. We're gonna have pizza right now.
Yes.
Yes.
I got a lot of more.
Pizza, ice cream, yeah, I know, might be in trouble. Might have to hit the town manager up for some help this time. All right, well, I thank everybody for their time and their effort today, and the next October 4th, maybe we'll see you Saturday, if not, we'll see you the next Thursday in November. Appreciate your time, thank you.
October 23rd.
October, yeah.